DG1S52. As you can see, it's worth 20 credits. Launches on the 2nd of February and it runs through to the 11th of May, and then submission date is the same date, the 11th of May. So this really is a continuation of your fundamentals module, which is your theory and kind of contextual study. Therefore, you get the same module team. So again, it's myself and Cara, and then as I mentioned, it's a kind of build really. It's a continuation of what you did last semester. So we're looking at common structures in the advertising industry. We're looking at the relationship between the client, the agency, and the audience. So again, we can do various workshops and lecture content to build around the actual assignment briefs. And then it also goes and said that you will talk about the dynamics and structure of advertising. So we're looking at local agencies, both locally and nationally. So really, it's the end of the first year. So we're kind of looking at really what your options are moving to year 3 and beyond, of where you guys want to work. There's no pressure at the moment. It's just, do I want to stay locally in Cardiff? Do I want to work in London? And what am I? I'm an all around it. So we're starting looking at that. So aims and objectives of the module. We're looking at the ad industry, as I said, on a regional, national context, looking at different roles. We've touched on this already. You guys obviously had the tour of Cowshed, I think, which helped. So I think you're now quite familiar with whether they're creative or client-side roles. Looking at strategy, looking at how they work with clients, and explore the growth of in-house advertising teams. So a lot of people now are having their own in-house teams, big brands, having their own in-house marketing, comms, and creative teams. So again, we'll be covering that over the 12 weeks. And again, other outcomes such develop understanding of the process. So we're going to get some guest speakers in from agencies, and again, build on the understanding of advertising and creative structure. So again, it's things we covered last semester in your fundamentals module. So going on to the brief, there are 2 outcomes: a presentation and a visual journal. So pretty much like we did last semester, very similar split between the 2 things. So we've got group presentation, and then we've got a visual journal, which you've now accustomed to. So I think you're accustomed to that. I think that'll help the process because you're familiar with what you guys handed in just before the Christmas break. So part 1, I'll just scroll down here, is a presentation. As I said, you presented online at the end of semester 1 because of the rail strike. So we'll be presenting again in May. So you'll be given an ad agency and a campaign, and in your group, again, you did a great job last time. You'll do a PowerPoint and you've got 10 minutes. So whereas last time it was kind of 12, 15 minutes, and we're a little bit lenient with the time. Now, as we get to the end of the first year, we need to tighten up on the time, because in year 2 and year 3, when you're pitching to clients, they'll say, right, you've got 10 minutes. So you need to organize yourself, edit, just kind of distill that. So less is more. So then there's a list of agencies and a list of brands. So each person in that group will be responsible for their own brand. So again, like you did before Christmas, have maybe 2 or 3 intro slides on the agency themselves, and then you can talk about the actual the content. So it could be print, it could be out of home, it could be, if there's a motion ad, show it. Some of you didn't show the motion ad for Christmas. It could be social media, it could be TikTok, wherever platform. It could be historic ads, it could be modern stuff. You can mix it all up. Again, we can talk about these in tutorials. And then underneath them, there's a bit of a checklist. So I won't go through all that, but then there's a checklist of what you need to do. And again, things like bring in semiotics, etc., etc. And then you'll be assessed on the 11th of May. So like you did in semester 1, you present for 10 minutes in your group to myself and Cara, and then you're submitting your group presentation and your journal. So again, now we've done it once, I think it should get easier second time around. And then scrolling down, and then part 2 is your visual journal. So last time out it was 2,000 words. This time it's a bit easier. There's only 1,500 words. So you're exploring the development of an ad campaign from the perspective of an agency and a client. In order to do this, you must contact an ad agency or agencies. So you need to start emailing people or going through LinkedIn. I need to reach out to agencies. So it could be people that we've had in before Christmas. It could be somebody of your choice. You could compare and contrast different agencies. It's really up to you. So whether you speak to one person or 5, it doesn't really matter. Again, we'll explain this at the unpacking session next week. So what you're then going to do is you're going to build a report. So what you're going to do, start thinking then, before you contact them, do you want to talk to a creative person? Do you want to talk to a client side person? Maybe talk to them about placements and internships moving forward. Think about your own strengths and weaknesses, and what kind of aspect of advertising appeals to you. And then, as I said, start thinking how, by reaching out to these people, how you can contextualize your work, and how can they start forming your ideas for your future beyond this course. So what you need to do is contact and interview staff. As I said, it could be one person at one agency, it could be 5 people at one agency, it could be 5 different people at different agencies. It's really up to you. Get to know their roles, and then there's a list of questions. What we'd like to do then, if you can contact agencies as soon as possible in the first few weeks of the module, and then the week 5, which is the week of the 2nd of March, then Cara and I want you to report back and say this is what you've fed back. Don't just contact one person and wait for a reply. We would rather you just contact loads of people. We can help you with the people if you want, or obviously you can search your own people through social media, LinkedIn, etc. And then we want to interview you, basically interview them and ask them some questions, and then obviously feed that into your visual journal. So, as I said, this is a visual journal. Again, so like you did last time, it's not an essay, so make sure you've got visual supportive elements. And then below, there's a list of questions and things we suggest. So what you want to redo is ask them how they break down the brief. So, when a brief comes in, again, I think what will help you is when we did the visit to Cowshed before Christmas, I think you got a feel for that. So who does the research, does the planning, who does the creative, how all these components link together, and who delivers the campaign. So how all the different facets of an agency work. And then there's some additional questions. So pack all that into 1,500 words. Again, we can talk about this, but the essence is you are writing a visual journal, 1,500 words. You're reaching out to an ad agency or agencies, interviewing people. Obviously, then you're quoting them, but then you put your own thoughts, own feelings into this, and you're putting this together into a visual journal. They're the 2 elements that you have to do. And there, as you can see, you've got the 10-minute presentation and the 1,500 word journal. So below then, as you can see, you've got your normal research analysis and outcome. By now, this is what your 4th module you're working on, so I think you're not quite familiar with the assessment process. And then don't forget, obviously, you've got a formative assessment, and then there's your matrix again. You've now had 3 modules fed back, so you're familiar with how we assess your work and how we feedback your work within 20 working days. And I'm just going to scroll down to the scheme of work. So you're on a Thursday, usual room, 10 till 1, 302, and then Cara and I are going to kind of so I'll do odd weeks and Cara will do even weeks, and then we build up then to assess presentation at the end. So I won't go through all that now, but as you can see, it's myself on one Thursday, and then Cara, and then obviously before Easter. So we've got, as you can see, we've got the careers guys coming in. We've got some couple of guest speakers coming in. Obviously, we've got to bear in mind that we get guest speakers, they could cancel on us or they could be rechained. But we've got some people coming in from agencies, and they're going to talk about how they deal with the process. So you can get first-hand knowledge from industry practitioners of how they approach the process, how their agency works, because obviously each agency, has a different working process, has different teams, has different people. And then we're going to do some pre-Easter tutorials, and then some post-Easter tutorials, and then you submit again on Blackboard on the 11th of May. And then there's your feedback sheet. As I said earlier, you're now quite familiar with this. So that is an overview of the module. Obviously, we'll talk about it when we unpack it at the start of semester 2. This, obviously, recording will go online, as will the PDF, and then we can unpack it and discuss it when we start semester 2. So look forward to seeing you all, guys. Next week we can start back. Thanks.